Spartans? What the hell?
Osiris, the people of Meridian Station need our assistance.
Good afternoon. I was going to say good morning, but I had to double check the time. How's everybody doing today? Let me turn that down just a bit. It's a beautiful Morrowind music, but, you know, kind of screwed that up. Oh, do you guys remember that's for later? How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing amazing. Welcome back to another episode of The Mind of Mando. I'm your host, Armando Ortega. If you guys are on your shift, don't worry, it's almost over. If you guys are working graveyard, hope you're having a good day's sleep. You deserve it. Anyways, I'm sitting here, my first day off in days, and I'm like trying to make the best of it. House is relatively clean, everything's relatively organized and put away, and now I just wanted to make an episode for everybody. Now that's still, just midday and everything like that. Damn, I thought I turned that down. There we go. Alright, sorry about that. I decided to, I don't know about where it is where you guys live, but right now in San Diego, it is very, very cloudy. Not a single shred of sunlight is coming through these clouds. It's pretty windy in the 60s, and honestly, it feels amazing. It reminds me of home. And I made myself some nice tea right now, enjoying it. It's still really too hot, so I'm just letting it cool down for a bit. A lot has happened when it comes down to the news, when it comes down to like entertainment, music, etc. And I noticed the last few episodes have just the last few episodes has just been concentrated on news, whether it's something as just mainly entertaining rather than critical, like the pink sauce lady, or something that has to do with the police, or something that has to do with like real life negativity. I just found those topics interesting, so that's why I wanted to talk about them. But you know what, let's do a little lighter episode this episode. As always, I'm gonna put timestamps below. I don't think I've gotten to that yet, the last episode, but I gotta get to it ASAP. Put timestamps down there in the description, so you guys can just go ahead and jump ahead to whatever topic tickles your fancy, and instead of having to go through the whole spiel that I'm doing right now. Anyways, something I wanted to talk about today was the last episode of the She-Hulk series. Yeah, last episode. 8 episodes, to be honest, and that was actually pretty surprising, the fact that it got to 8 episodes. I'm looking at it back in the day when I watched shows from like the early 2000s and everything. They used to, or even in the 80s and 90s, they used to have like 20 some episodes a season. And now, I guess it really has to do more with the fact that a lot of these shows that Disney Plus is putting out is very CGI heavy, and they still got movies to make and one shots and all that stuff. They can only really stretch their dollars so far, despite being a multi-billion-dollar company, so they have to cut some stuff off, and I guess one of those things where how many episodes they were released per season, which it's understandable, but at the same time it sucks because how do you call it? I mean, if they put out an entertaining show, then you would want to see more of it. It kind of sucks, not kind of, for me personally, it really sucks having to wait an entire year, just an entire year, and to get like 6 episodes, and then now have to wait another year. And it's just like, bro, come on, really? It's like not even 20 at the very least, Well, anyways, like I said, She-Hulk, what do I think about it? This is my honest opinion, starting from the very first episode, the beginning of the series. Actually, the first 2 or 3 episodes of the series, Did not like it, just like everybody else. It was terrible. Reason why was because of the direction they were heading in. You know, it's like the writers wanted to push every single topic that people just hate and people just find so ridiculous into the first episode, mainly in the first episode, actually. Like, all men are dumb, all men are stupid, women have it the hardest. It doesn't matter if you're going through suffering or suicidal thoughts or suicidal attempts or anything like that, or doing an uncontrollable rage through everywhere that you can't control whatsoever. It's just like you're a prisoner inside of your own body. You know, women get hit on sometimes, and that's infinitely worse. I made a whole video of that and everything. But you know, it got teared to shreds. The first 2-3 episodes, rightfully so, got torn to shreds, you know, because nobody likes that. In the end of the day, you're working on a project that's geared towards the comic book fan community, you know? People loved She-Hulk, guys and girls, when she was still in the comic, well, in her early years of the comics. Because why? Because it still showed Jennifer Walters as a very hard working, very just hard-headed, you know, and determined individual who is a professional in her fear, who isn't letting anything like being a Hulk just really affect her that much. Because in the end of the day, she wants to be a persistent, powerful, and helpful lawyer, a successful lawyer. She went to law school to do that, passed the bar and everything. She became a Hulk, and now she was like, I have a bigger responsibility now. I have a responsibility to protect those inside the courtroom because I have this ability to do so. I have the legal right to do so. But when the courtroom fails them, I have the responsibility, the obligation to help the people out in the streets as She-Hulk. You know, very great character. Just the fact that she looked incredible to look at was just a bonus on who she was as a character. The She-Hulk TV show really did not follow any of that stuff. You know, it was just Jennifer Walters, who for some reason they were steering towards that Mary Sue route, you know, and it was not great. Like, people hated that. People hated that with Rey Skywalker. Well, she's not even Skywalker. With Rey Palpatine from Star Wars, they hated that because she's like, Rey had no idea that the Force even existed. Sorry about that. It was my bottle. Rey had no idea the Force even existed, and then a couple of minutes after she saw that the Force was real, for some reason she can do a Jedi mind trick. Yeah, no, that's some Mary Sue stuff right there. You know, it's ridiculous, and a lot of people pointed it out, and a lot of people and others who were all trying to defend Rey were like, well, Luke, and it's like, no, Luke failed. Luke lost fights. Luke wasn't proficient at anything he was doing, and he was hard-headed, and he paid the price for being hard-headed. But after continuously training, yes, he won against Vader, but he didn't win from a long shot. He didn't go like, oh, you know what, you can't touch me, you can't do anything to me. No, he won by the skin of his teeth. It was insane. But how do you call it? There was what was I saying? Oh yeah, Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk. So for the first 2 episodes, she was basically just put in the whole thing of, I'm better than you. And the fact that they literally wrote that into the first episode, telling that to Bruce Banner, oh, I'm better than you. I'm better than you. Okay, so I'm better than you. And it's like, oh my God. And it rubbed people the wrong way. Because people are like, oh, this isn't your typical superhero show. It was like, I think people were more mad at the fact that you were insulting the fan base, you know? When you make shows, make anything really from any topic that's pandering to those who aren't even fans of that genre in the first place, it's doomed to fail, especially when you're insulting the core fan base to begin with. And that's exactly what doomed She-Hulk. Spoilers from this point forward. Despite all that, I have to say, wholeheartedly, 100%, this is how I feel about the show. I ended up liking it. I ended up liking She-Hulk. And it's weird. I didn't think I was going to like it at all. But I kept watching because I think I said the last time I talked about this, I was being like, I'm only watching it because of Daredevil, because of Matt Murdock, and because I wanted to see what other characters they brought into or introduced into the MCU. I continued watching it. I only missed one episode, and I think that was episode 6. But from what I'm hearing from everybody, it was more of a filler throwaway episode. So I'm not really in a rush to like watch it. 1 second, hold on. Oh man, it's all good. Love water. Oh. All right, so yeah, I'm not in a real big rush to be watching that episode, but I ended up picking it up again on episode 7, and I'm glad I did, because that is the episode where Matt Murdock's Daredevil was introduced, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, because here's the thing, for me personally, from episode 4 onwards, was moving away from the whole women have it the worst, men are just dogs and idiots, you know, no one understands them, no one has it as bad as us, look at all the hoops we have to hurdle. Granted, they sprinkle a little bit of those here and there, but it wasn't as saturated, it wasn't as concentrated as it was in mainly episode 1, but in 2 and 3 also. So they toned back on that aspect a lot, and then they kept, you know, moving on with actually telling a show. And I started, and I think around episode 5 really is when they started getting their momentum, started getting their rhythm and things. Like, for example, in The Office first season was trying to copy that dry comedic style that The Office UK did and everything. And yes, it was funny from time to time, but majority of the times it just wasn't, you know, it didn't do anything for anybody here in the US. So in when season 2 started, season 2 actually was revered as the better season at that time, because it was actually a lot more. They kept moving, they kept going, they kept, you know, doing ridiculous stuff here and there, and they found their rhythm. That's why when people talk about The Office, you have people who they like The Office, but they typically say, you know, The Office isn't as good. Season 1 isn't good. It starts picking up in season 2, and that's how it was in She-Hulk. She-Hulk in the beginning sucked. Nobody liked it. The core fans of She-Hulk from the comics hated it, because it just wasn't She-Hulk. It was clearly a way for people to how do you call it, say their ideals or their beliefs, their propaganda, their agendas, their wokeness into everybody else by the means of a huge platform that is, you know, Disney and Marvel. But after episode 4, I gotta tell you, yeah, they found their rhythm. Truly they did. I think in one episode, they had Jennifer Walters be like, oh, you know, this show is about me. I'm not relying on cameos. And I'm like, well, a lot of your stuff relied on cameos. What are you talking about? In the promotional material, it was Daredevil teasing that he's gonna be on the show, when it was, how do you call it, when it was actually the episode in, you had Wong, and then you had Emil Blonsky, the Abomination, and everything like that. And it was, yeah, you relied heavily on cameos in order to continue having the show be interesting to some people or be relevant and everything like that. Here I go again with negativity. I'm trying to say, the reason I ended up liking it is because, like I said already, they did tone back the whole wokeness and agenda pushing and everything like that. They focused on telling the story of Jennifer Walters from this perspective. And they did the third wall breaks and everything like that. Well, correction, the fourth wall breaks. I read some articles and some tweets where some people did not like it. They're like, oh, it doesn't feel natural with Jen. It's like, she did it before even Deadpool. She did that countless times in the comics. She broke the fourth wall. And they just brought that to the TV series. And I did enjoy that. I did appreciate it. Really, I did. So I kept watching. And I noticed that, this isn't your typical Marvel TV show where it's just like, serious, major world domination. We need to save the innocents. Smart little quip. Or anything like that. It was what's going on in Jen's life. Titania, she sent a cease and desist letter to Jen for the name She-Hulk. And the only reason she did that was because after she was released from jail, she went and trademarked the name, and then now it was legally owned by Titania. And then they had a whole court scene from that, and they introduced this one throwaway character girl, and they made her be friends with Wong, and then they just had a friendship, her and Wong and everything like that. And it was goofy, it was silly. At that point I started seeing, hey, maybe they're starting to finally put in the comedy in this comedy lawyer TV show, so I was just like, that makes sense. Because here you go, you have Daredevil on Netflix. Well, now it's on Disney Plus also. But you have Daredevil, a lawyer in Hell's Kitchen, and everything is gloomy and brooding and dark all the time. And now you have Jen, a lawyer. What is it, in LA? I forgot where. Yeah, it is in LA, right? Yeah. And she's a lawyer also, just like Matt. The only difference is, one, her identity is known, and two, everything is lighthearted. Everything takes place during the daytime. Well, majority of the time takes place during the daytime. Even the court cases aren't serious. They're pretty goofy, And when you start looking at it through that lens, instead of being like, oh, this doesn't compare to all the serious ones, it's just like, it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be its own thing. Part of the reason, aside from trying to see who they brought in, that I kept watching the show, was because this same exact thing happened in WandaVision. Yeah, there's people who are like, oh, WandaVision sucks. But here's the thing. A lot of people didn't... the initial criticism for WandaVision was because of the first 3 episodes. 2.5, I guess. Taking place in all black and white, all styles of TV shows in the 50s, 60s, or whatever, And then towards the end of the 3rd, I believe, they introduced color. But little sparks, little here and there, you had the occasional thing that was in color while the show was taking place in black and white, and something odd and bizarre would happen. But they would give you no explanations. And people are like, oh, this show sucks, because they didn't like the old school style. They didn't want to see that. But patience pays off. Because here comes episode 4. And next thing you know, episode 4 isn't in black and white. It's not even with Wanda or Vision. It's out in the real world. Sword is introduced. Shield makes a comeback. It's like Agent Woo. All these things return, and it doesn't feel like an old TV show you're watching. It's a modern day Marvel TV show. And they're like, holy crap. There's no like old school noise, sounds, audio, looks, acting, anything like that. This is how it's done now. And people are like, hey, you know what? It really picked up on episode 4. It's like, no, duh, it picked up on episode 4 because this is what you're used to seeing. And then that's when they start answering questions, and that's when reality mixes with the world Wanda made, and then like it starts all melting together like in a pot. And then eventually the real world starts dominating. So yeah. So for She-Hulk and everything, hold on, my cat's being kind of weird. Get out of here, Peaches. Jesus. So, what I was saying was, in She-Hulk, that's essentially how it started becoming. They started getting the groove. They started getting their comedic sense somewhat. And they started actually making a show that wasn't just solely meant for bashing and pushing an agenda and being woke, but making a show that was meant to just be a show. a story about a character. And when they started doing that, in my opinion, it started becoming better. And that's when we land on episode 7. Episode 7. Oh, what can I say about episode 7? I was so scared that they were gonna make Matt Murdock, make Daredevil just so dumb. Just make him really idiotic. And just make him just an embarrassment to who he was in the Netflix series. Because like before, when I was talking about Hawkeye TV show, even though it should have just been called Kate Bishop, in the end they made her win against the Kingpin, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, and it's just like, this isn't the Kingpin that you saw in Daredevil, and for some reason he loses to her. Okay, anyways, they brought him in, and he made his entrance as a lawyer, representing the guy who makes all the superheroes, suits and clothes, etc., etc. And Matt just rocks it in the court. What makes it different is the atmosphere, is the setting. In Daredevil Netflix, where we were so used to seeing a darkened courtroom, not really saturated in color. The only real lights were coming from the outside through the windows into the courtroom, and really that's about it. This courtroom, the sunshine of LA, I'm just gonna say LA, makes it bright. Plus there are lights inside. Everything is light. And here comes Matt, and he's still serious. He's still, being professional. He's not stumbling over himself. He doesn't put his foot in his mouth. Everything that Jen brings up, Matt has a way to counter it. And that is what he did in that episode. And she was like, wow, who the hell is this guy? It's like, he's good and everything. It's like, hell yeah, that's Matt. And then you see little hints of the Daredevil inside of him. When what's his name brings out his boot and sees like, oh, what am I gonna do with this now? All Matt does is take a small whiff and be like, hey, what kind of fuel you use? And the guy's like, jet fuel. And that's exactly how the guy lost his case. Because it was admitted by him there that he used jet fuel, and that was not the type of fuel specified for his boots, and he was let known that, so that was his own fault. So the show was just really good to Matt. The thing that I didn't understand is to why people, not all out of them people, but some people hated Matt Murdock, hated what they did to Daredevil in that show, in that episode. And I didn't understand why. I was like, oh, he's so lighthearted. Oh my God, he's joking around. Oh my God, this. Oh my God, that. It's like, yes. Yes, of course. Because that is who he is in the comics. Don't get me wrong. He's still brooding. He's still dark. He still is in such a dark tone, in such a dark way and everything. That's Daredevil. But he's not Batman. He's not going to be angry all the time. In the early years of Daredevil, that's who he was. Yes, he would go fight crime and everything in his dad's old boxing robes that he made into his costume, yellow and red, which is what it was in the show, which looks great in my opinion. But he would crack wise. He would do jokes. There's a panel where he literally busts into the room, and he has a sweater on actually that says, I am not Daredevil, even though he is. and he's a jokester. He can joke, he can smile, he can laugh, and that's what the show did, because that is who the original real Daredevil is like. He is serious. He will take his job seriously, whether it's out vigilanting as Daredevil or as a lawyer in the courtroom. He will be serious, but he will crack wise if he needs to. And I love that that's how they portrayed him in the show. They didn't portray him as helpless either. When the scene where he was going against Jen in the parking lot, he wasn't trying to fight Jen. He was just trying to get away from her.
You need to back off.
And waste this outfit? Eugene, get out of here!
No, Super Sue! You're making a mistake.
You made a mistake when you messed with my client!
Is
Now I'm gonna whoop your ass.
My ass remains unwhooped.
Yeah, let's fix that.
The only way to stop him was she did the sonic clap, and that disoriented him. And to be honest, me and a lot of people are like, yeah, his ear should have been bleeding. He should have been deaf like hell, but you know, he didn't. He was still very wise. And after him and Jen have a little back and forth, not super like, oh, at each other's throats, but, you know, a little light bantering and everything, they still didn't make him dumb.
Do you pretend to be blind, man? Because that is really
No,
problematic.
I'm blind. Relax. I have a spatial method that I use to see.
Oh, like echolocation.
Yeah, kind of. It's, I basically have really good hearing. Or at least, I did.
Wait, why were you attacking my client?
Leapfrog is the bad guy here. He kidnapped Luke Jacobson. He's holding him hostage.
Why didn't you tell me that before we fought?
Why didn't you ask me before immediately trying to whoop my ass?
I'm sorry that I assumed the guy dressed as the devil was the bad one.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So, are you like a superhero? Like the gold devil?
I'm Daredevil.
When they were scouting out the building and everything like that, they showed how he was using his powers, his tone and his voice, the way he spoke and carried himself as he was in Netflix. In Netflix, when he needed to scout open a building or anything like that, he used to just tilt his head, and then he used to just hear people's heartbeats. He was able to tell how many people are there. He was able to tell if they were carrying weapons. He was able to tell where they were at and everything. And he did that in the show.
There are 25 goons in the building. 7 below us, 8 in the front, and 10 in the hallway.
How do you know that?
I can hear their heartbeats.
You can hear their heartbeats? Come on, that's a little far-fetched.
I can hear yours, too. Your heart's beating pretty fast.
What? No, it's not. I'm healthy.
Okay.
And he went in there and Daredevil, oh my god. The hallway scene from the first movie and everything, I thought they were going to recreate that. But they didn't. Which is alright. But they still showed that this Daredevil, which, you know, later on has been confirmed to be the same Daredevil from Netflix, he still got it. He still got it. If you ever watched the first and second season of Netflix Daredevil, when he's clearing out a room and there's henchmen there, he'll distract them with noises. He'll bring their attention to a location where he wants them to be paying attention at.
What was it?
Take that sight. All right. Keep eyes on. All right.
That's exactly what he did.
So I said, I respect that you want to dress up like a frog. But that doesn't mean I'm cool with being a baby frog.
Wait, I thought you wanted to call us tadpoles.
Yeah, man. How do you not know what a baby is?
He is just wrecking shop. And then She-Hulk comes in. And I thought that was great. Because they both, like, how do you call it? Like, let's say this. Let's say you have pretzels, you know, from a bag. And they're crunchy and they're salty. But then you cover them in something sweet. and you have that sweet, salty taste. And I believe everybody loves that type of combination. And even though they're opposites, they complement each other so well. And that's exactly what happened in this episode. Matt Daredevil is the limber, is the flexible, it's the stealthy, just amazingly strong and acrobatic and athletic fighter that he is. He can throw hands with you face to face. Sorry about my dishwasher. He can throw hands to you face to face, or he'll pick you and your homies off one by one, and you won't be able to find out where he is. And if he wants you to direct your attention away from him, guess what? You're gonna do it, because he has ways of making you do it. When it comes down to Jen, she's a Hulk. Barely anything can penetrate her skin, guns, knives, etc., etc. And she can break through solid objects. And she's strong, and that's exactly what, you know, when they went off on the people with their own styles, they were able to complement each other with that way. And it was great, because while Jen was talking to her client, you see Daredevil in the back. Yeah, he's giving legal advice, but he's still maintaining his discretion to let the others not know who he is, and he's still beating the hell out of everybody. And I was just enjoying it. And even when one of the guys was like, "Hey, is he a superhero lawyer?" Matt quickly, like he's been practicing it, just goes like, "No, I'm just into legal dramas," and he continues to beating ass. And that's it. No one ever questions it. Because like, okay, cool, yeah. But oh my god. Later on, Daredevil's like out there. Quick rewind. When they're scoping out the place, they're on the rooftop and the lighting is red. And I used to love when they did that when Daredevil TV show on Netflix. Whenever they had hallways or rooftops or whatever, they would just illuminate it with the color red. And it was so great. Man, I hope they keep the tone when his show comes out. So yeah, after everything was said and done, him and Jen hook up. And then, like, the only part I did not like of that episode was when they had Matt do the walk of shame the following morning. I get it. That's a thing. It happens to all of us and everything from one point or another. But in keeping in tone with how Daredevil is, he may be a jokester, but he's not stupid. You know? He won't just walk in broad daylight in his regular Daredevil suit holding his boots or anything like that. No, he's not going to do that. But other than that, I really, really found the show enjoyable. I liked how she referenced the Red Hulk, which, you know, it's General Thaddeus Ross as the Red Hulk. I wonder if they're going to introduce A-Bomb, you know? Well, the last episode was today, and I watched it, and to be honest, I'm glad they brought Abomination back. But leading up to today's episode, there was leaks of the Hulk fighting against Abomination, and I was like, holy crap, they're gonna have another epic fight. No. Okay, a lot of stuff happened in that show, but honestly, no, because in the end, the Hulk did come back out of nowhere, and it was commented on in the show as to how he came back and where he was all the time. But it's just how he came back out of nowhere to that specific spot. And that fight with Abomination that people were so hyped about, like, holy crap, this is happening. It was a throwaway. Like, literally, I don't remember Hulk connecting a single hit, and I don't remember Blonsky ever throwing a hit back. It was like probably like 4 or 5 swings, and then they stopped, and then they did what they did and everything like that. It was fun how they really committed into breaking the fourth wall this last episode. And let me tell you, it was entertaining. I did enjoy seeing that, and they got me how they did a breakaway and everything like that. If you guys watched the last episode, how do you call it? Just be it like this. Compared to the first time you play Batman Arkham Asylum back in 2009 on your PS3 or on your 360 or anything like that, and you know how when, I think it's the second or third time, Scarecrow, like, you know, gets you with his fear toxins and everything like that, and you're just walking down a hallway in the asylum, and all of a sudden your game glitches out.
Did anyone catch the game last night?
A lot of people fell for that. A lot of people are like, oh no, my disc is broken. And they would try and turn off their Xbox, clean their CD, put it back in, replay that level only for it to happen again. And people thought genuinely the game was glitched out, the game was messed up, or their CDs were just scratched and they just couldn't find a way to fix it. But here's the thing, for those who decided to just stare in disbelief, feeling like they just lost so much progress in their game and everything for Asylum, if they stayed there, the screen would go black and then it would restart for the intro cinematic of the game, except subtle differences here and there. In the beginning of Arkham Asylum, during the opening cinematic, you see that its lights focus on the sky and you see the bat signal with the bat logo on there to call Batman. In this one, after the glitch and everything, the bat signal, when the opening cinematic happens again, the bat signal's in the sky. But this time the bat symbol is upside down with two extra like slanted ovals, which is supposed to like show like a laughing face, a laughing evil face. And the game in the cinematic continues and it's still exactly the same, except this time the Joker's the one driving and you're the one cuffed into the back. And you enter the asylum and everything's happening except the roles are reversed now. Now Batman is the one strapped into that like thing that they had Hannibal Lecter and everything. I forgot what it's called. And everything else, you have Jonathan Crane acting as the medic to inspect Joker in the real opening. You have Joker there, you have Harley there and everything like that. And then suddenly the Joker pulls out a gun and shoots you. And then it gives you a death scene, you know, when you die in the game, it just like, you know, you have a short little cinematic and then it shows you like, it has you read something like you could do or a little hint or whatever. This time this happened, you get a death scene, except the scene says, click the middle thumbstick in order to dodge the bullet. Here's the thing, you don't have a middle thumbstick. The controllers only have two, so what are they talking about middle thumbstick? So it wasn't really a glitch that happened in the game. What it was is that fear toxin made you imagine all that stuff, and then when you come to back in the nightmare that Scarecrow created for you. And it was very clever how they did it. It's somewhat like that in this last episode. As soon as I saw this happen, it immediately made me think about that moment in Arkham Asylum. And really, I was just like, wow, yeah, no Marvel show has done this yet. And I was thoroughly entertained. And I kept watching and I kept watching. They did what they needed to do and everything like that. Poked fun here and there. But ultimately, they were talking about what the hell is happening in this final scene. Well, anyways, big spoilers coming up ahead. Really big spoilers for those who haven't watched it. So it ends in a Fast and Furious style, where after everything happened, they're in the backyard at a cookout. Everybody's drinking their modelos and everything like that. I guess at this point, Matt and Jen are starting to date, which honestly, I will not lie about this. I actually like the idea. I really enjoy the idea of Matt and Jen dating and everything like that. It's just, they just fit perfectly. They do the same thing when it comes down to their normal professional lives, but when it comes down to superhero vigilante stuff, they both, even though they want the same goal, they both have different styles at going at it. And oh my god, I just enjoy it. I really do. I hope this is a thing still. Well, anyways, Hulk comes back Because after you see in the second or third episode, Hulk is gone in a ship and everything like that. In the same ship that made them swerve off in the first episode, which is how Jen became She-Hulk. He was seen just flying away. People were saying he's going back to Sakaar. It's a World War Hulk. It's a Planet Hulk. This, and that. Somewhat. You know? Somewhat. And I was just like, no, that can't be. That can't be. Well, he finally came back at the end of this episode. And he was, hey guys, what's up? And he's back. And people are like, oh, Bruce, oh, this and that. He was like, hey, before we do anything, I want you guys to meet somebody.
Hey, everyone.
Cousin, Bruce.
Now, I know I've been away on Sakaar for a while. I'll tell you all about it. But first, I have someone here that I'd like you all to meet. This is my son, Scar.
They introduced Scar. Oh my god, like they introduced Scar in the comics. They introduced Scar in the Hulk's Agents of Smash. And they introduced Scar here. Let me tell you, the CGI is not the best. I will admit that. He looks kind of weird compared to his comic counterpart, especially with the new hairstyle. But in the end of the day, we have Scar. We have... Hulk had a family. Well, maybe had a family. Maybe they're going to write it off as like a one-night stand that resulted in whoever he had it with being pregnant or whatever. But he has a son. Maybe there's hope for a Planet Hulk still, but we gotta see about that, because like I said, I don't know how they're gonna make it, if they're gonna decide to make a Planet Hulk, which eventually leads into World War Hulk. But they introduced Scar, and this is huge. Here's the thing, also, when the hell did he have time to procreate? You know, to have another gamma radiated offspring? Because the thing is, Scar looks to be like a teenager in the show, like a solid 15 years old, 16 or whatever, or just a young adult. But how do you call it? Hulk was brought back in 2018. Okay? He was brought back into the world in 2018. We all know that, in the movie Infinity War, we all know that in Infinity War, it started off where the end of Thor Ragnarok left off. And at that point, Hulk was away from Earth for 2 years. So, let's say 2 years passed by until 2000. Well, what was it? It was in 2015. Okay. So let's say, almost 3 years happened, or 3 years happened when, Hulk came back to Earth in Infinity War. And then after Endgame and everything like that, they brought everybody back in 2023, which was another 5 years. So that would be a solid 8 years that passed by. Let's say because he'd had to go back to Sakaar. He said this in the end of the episode, which means that when he left Sakaar, it was in 2017. And, how do you call it? His son would have probably been 1 or 2 at that point. That's if he smashed like right away. Like, get it? Smash. But like, at this point, it's like, what, 2023, 2024? Who knows how long it's been since everybody got brought back. That would make his son... What was it? Like, 9, 10? What? And the thing is, in the comics, Scar was introduced because he wanted to kill Hulk. He wanted to kill his father. But as the moment he found Hulk and tried to confront him, Hulk literally just threw him around like a ragdoll. Here they're chill. Here they're like, hey, what's up? This is my son. And they're like, holy crap, what? This guy's a man. It's like, when did you do this? You know? I want to see how they explain it, but I am so glad they brought Scar back. And who knows, A-Bomb, Red Hulk. Oh my god, the possibilities. Well, what I'm trying to say is I ended up really enjoying She-Hulk. I like, aside from the first 3 episodes, those are garbage. I don't like them. And I like, even though they sprinkled messages from that here and there throughout their episodes and everything, it wasn't the dominant thing. It didn't really distract from the bigger story. Not only that, it's losing its steam. And the reason I say that, it's because whenever like anybody brought up anything that was supposed to fit in that woke agenda pushing type of style, the only reaction they really garnered, well, for me personally, was like, okay, yeah, it's a tired tale. And then moved on. The show kept going. And I completely forgot about it. It's just like, so it's like, hey, how about stop with that? Because that's not happening. You know, people aren't caring about that anymore. And just keep going on with the show. And that's exactly what happened. And I'm really happy about it. And honestly, the characters they introduced, the only one I'm very mad about is Emil Blonsky and Hulk, and especially the Wrecking Crew. They did not bring back the Wrecking Crew. Maybe they'll appear in the future. Maybe they won't be so watered down or dumb like they portrayed them in that one moment, in that one episode. But I'm just excited to see where they bring it from here. I am. Other than that, you know what? There's other stuff I want to talk about, but let's just keep this episode solely a She-Hulk episode. Like I said, I've been talking about a lot of serious stuff lately. And what I want to talk about when it comes down to real life events, it probably deserves its own episode. Let's just keep this a She-Hulk episode. I'll go ahead and make an announcement on my comic channel to come over here and listen to it and everything like that. And yeah, I'm finding that one side thing that I'm gonna, like, it's my dishwasher in the back, sorry. One side thing that I want to bring up, and it's not like serious, it's just a realization as to why it happens. But I know that a lot of big YouTubers are like, you know, I make these videos and then my editor, he does this or she does that, yada yada, you know. And I'm like, man, you know, I edit my videos and yeah, they take some time, but I don't know if I would have the need to ever pay an editor to do anything that I would, you know, want to do. That's until I started, you know, implementing more audios, more videos, more editing and everything like that to my videos, to the point where I'm like, well, no duh. It's like, no duh, this is why people get editors. Because like I said, like before, it used to take me like 5 to 10 minutes to just put together my old podcasts. You know, it was just put the intro music, put the intro in, and then put in the backdrop, and then that's it. Just end it. Just not edit anything into it, not trying to make everything fit so good or anything. Just be done with it within 5 to 10 minutes and move on with my day. I've been finding myself, especially with this last episode, I found myself spending about 2 to 3 hours just editing. Over and over and over again. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that I just spent so much time on this. And yeah, now I see why people do that. Because, like, let me tell you, I keep doing this, things are only gonna grow. Things are only gonna get bigger. I'm only gonna get more ideas, and things are only gonna be more tedious to get done. So eventually, I know at some point in the future, I'm gonna have to upgrade to a bigger rig and everything like that. But on top of that, I'm also gonna have to find somebody to do all the editing for me, because I still have a job to work and I still have responsibilities and chores to get done, and all my time can't be done just doing editing, which is why, at least personally, I've been feeling like these episodes I've been getting a little more and more longer to be put out than the last ones. So yeah, other than that, I want to tell y'all thank you for joining me for another episode of the Mind of Mando. I've been your host, Armando Ortega, and I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. See ya.